Okay, so let's get started. So as you can see there, welcome to tonight's webinar. Tonight we're talking about goals and attitude. And this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run. It's called the Kleeneze Circle of Success. And the first 2 or 3 there are all about getting started with the retail side, really, the catalogues, the online side, that sort of thing, building a customer base. Then 4 and 5 I talk a bit about team building and supporting new team members. And then 6, 7 and 8, so last week, tonight and next week, are those other kind of skills and attitudes, I suppose, that are really, really important to help you grow your business. And specifically tonight, we're talking about goals and attitude. All of these webinars are recorded, and I'll show you at the end where they're kept. So if there's one in particular that you wanted to look at and you can't wait 3, 4, 5 weeks till we get back round to that again, then feel free to go to the recordings and watch the one from when I recorded it. Or equally, if there's something that I go over tonight and you don't quite catch it, or you just wanted to go over it again, then it should be, this one will be back up in the recording archive. I normally put it up in the morning, so kind of tomorrow morning, 9, 10 o'clock, something like that, it should be there. But I'll explain a bit more about that a bit later. So, goals and attitude. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. It should take about half an hour or so. So first I'm going to ask whether or not your attitude is important. Kleeneze says it's, we all know it's kind of relatively simple to be a Kleeneze distributor. So if it's that simple, why do you need an attitude, a good attitude? So we'll go over that a little bit. And if you agree with me that your attitude to Kleeneze and your life in general really is important, then can you do anything about it? Can you work on your attitude? And I'm going to talk a little bit about goals and goal setting and achieving goals, and why also I think it's really, really important to spend some time on your goal setting. It's very easy in Kleeneze to kind of spend a lot of time doing the useful activity, so putting your catalogues out, putting your adverts on Facebook, generating leads and so on. But sometimes you just need to step out of the business a little bit and just spend a bit of time working on, if you like, looking at the bigger picture. And goal setting is one of those things that I think is a useful investment of your own time. So, is your attitude important? Well, I think of course it is. And the reason why is, if you think about it, every distributor who joins has exactly the same opportunity. We all join with exactly the same kit. Well, maybe 50 catalogs, maybe 250 catalogs. But the same products, we all have the same price plan, we all have to pay the same amount to get started, and we all have the same cost, we all get paid the same amount of commission, we get paid the same bonus structure and so on. So we all have the same opportunity when we start, but why are some successful and some are not? And to be honest, by far the biggest influence on your success is your own attitude. So, little example there. How do you feel when you get up in the morning? Sometimes you might get up and think, yes, I'm going to get those catalogues out, whatever it takes. I don't mind if there's a bit of snow, I'll put my ice treads on, and I'll got my trolley, and I'll go and do it, whatever it takes. Other times you might, I'm not feeling so good this morning. Maybe I'll put the catalogues out tomorrow instead. I'll probably feel better tomorrow. So, depending on how you feel, might determine whether you get your catalogues out or not. But one thing to bear in mind is that successful people do what they know they should do, even when they don't feel like doing it. And that's really important because when you've got busy lives and lots of stuff going on, there's probably lots and lots of reasons why you can find a reason not to do what you know you should do. But if you do it even when you don't feel like doing it, then that's a big step in the right direction. And your attitude makes a big difference to that. So having a great attitude helps you put your catalogues out even if you're feeling a bit down. And while you're putting your catalogues out, it encourages you to chat and smile with your customers, even if you're not feeling fantastic yourself. But you don't take that out on your customers. You're chatting and smiling with them. And all of these things help you build a big rapport, a great rapport with your customers. And that's really, really important. This isn't just about putting catalogues out. It's about looking after your customers. And all of those things build a strong and loyal customer base. What I mean by that is these are customers who will order from you over and over and over again. And it's far better for you to keep an existing customer than to have to go out and try and find new customers all the time. So on the other side, also having a great attitude helps you when you're putting your lead generating out. If you're going out delivering lots of leaflets and you're feeling a bit under the weather, you might think, oh, perhaps I'll do my leafleting tomorrow instead. But if you've got a great attitude, you know it's really important to get it done even when you don't feel like it, so you'll do it anyway. It encourages you to make those follow-up calls. So once you've got some leads coming through, you might feel a bit nervous about following them up, but if you've got a can-do attitude, then you'll do the calls anyway, even if you're feeling a bit nervous. And all of those activities will bring in that extra team member this month. And the bigger your team, the more chance you have of building this big residual income. So your attitude can make a huge difference, because it could just increase your weekly orders over a period of time by being cheerful and sort of helpful with your customers. That can increase your weekly orders, so that might make the difference from £250 to £500 a week in orders. It can increase your team's orders enormously as well, because if you're bringing extra team people in and you're teaching them the same good attitude, then your team orders might go from £2,000 to £4,000 a week. So that can just increase your income from just £50 a week to £500 a week, as an example, just because you're doing those disciplines, those regular activities that you know you should do, even if you don't feel like doing it. So your attitude makes a huge difference. So that's good. If we all agree then that everyone should have a good attitude, how do we get a good attitude? How do we improve it? We can just nip down to Tesco's and buy a pint and a half of good attitude, please. A couple of swigfuls of that in the morning, and that'll get you going. If only it was that easy. So, but actually it's even easier than that, because it's all up to you. You can decide if you want to improve your attitude. So your attitude is about things like your life philosophy. Now that sounds quite grand, and I'm going to talk about that a bit more in the next webinar, webinar 8. But it's kind of like how you look on life and how you deal with the ups and downs of life. But one thing that makes a big difference that I found in your attitude is success. If you can be successful, then that tends to give you a good attitude, because you've seen that doing those disciplines, putting your catalogues out even when you don't feel like it, doing the lead generation even when you're not sure about it, results in some successes, which is great. Makes you want to do it again and again and again. And what is the success? Well, success is just basically achieving whatever goals you've set yourself for a particular activity or a particular day. So if we say that goals are an important way to measure your success, you set yourself a goal, you achieve it, you feel great, I did that, I'm going to do that again. So constantly setting and achieving small, medium and larger goals is a great way to get successes, and achieving success regularly is a great way to build a positive attitude. Now it's really important to do this for yourself, but it's also important to do it with your team, because if you've got team members on here and they're thinking about their own goals and so on, and you're maybe a bit more experienced and you've achieved some goals, then by sharing those successes and showing your team members how you've done it, that will help them do it as well. So in terms of setting goals, one of the things that's really important, and you'll hear this quite a lot if you go on local opportunity meetings and to meetings like the millionaires meetings and the big Kleeneze conferences, people talk about what is your why, what is your reason for doing this. Not many people join Kleeneze because they have a passion for walking the streets popping catalogues through people's letterboxes. Most people join for some other reason. So it could be that if you understand what your strong why is, that really helps you to achieve your goals. Because when you're first starting out, you set yourself some goals. Typically this is what happens. You set a goal, let's say whatever it might be, I want to earn £200 in my first month, something like that. So you create a little plan. Maybe you sit down with your sponsor and they say, okay, so let's make sure you've got 250 catalogues, let's get those out once a week, and let's go on Facebook for an hour every morning and post this. So you create a little plan for doing all of that. And you start taking those first steps. So you put your catalogues out on Monday morning. Monday afternoon, you've come back, you've just picked up little Jimmy from play school. So you're thinking, right, now I'm going to log on to Facebook and start putting those first posts up and join some of the local groups. So you start taking those first steps, and obstacles will appear. That first time you put those catalogues out, you'll probably get somebody who says, excuse me, no, I don't want this, thank you very much. And you start to feel a bit nervous about, oh crikey, I didn't realise people might do that. You'll put a post on the Facebook group, and someone will say, oh, do you know you can get this for 27 pence cheaper down at Asda? And you're thinking, oh crikey, why don't they just keep this to themselves? So you'll have these little obstacles that will appear, and often people say, if your goals aren't challenging enough, if you're not having any obstacles, it's because your goals are not challenging enough. If your only obstacle is, if your goal is to go out to your front door and pop a catalogue through your neighbour's door and then dash back in quickly, then you probably do that without too many obstacles, in which case it's really not a challenging enough goal. It's not ambitious enough. But by having a strong why, a strong reason for why you're doing this, that will motivate you and help you to overcome these obstacles. So what I found is, when you're thinking about what are your reasons for joining Kleeneze, a lot of people, I ask people, why do you want to join, or what is it your goal? What is your goal? And people will say, oh, an extra £50 a week would be really good, or £100 a week, or whatever, and that's great. But I always try and dig a little bit deeper and just try and find what exactly would they do with that money? Why is £50 a week important? And if it's simple, it could just be something like, at the moment they're struggling to pay their bills, so they feel so stressed out every morning when the postman comes because they know there's going to be another red letter coming, that an extra 50 quid a week would just relieve all of that stress from their shoulders. And by relieving all of that stress and not having to worry about bills, that would just give their family life such a lift, because when you're feeling really stressed out about things like that, you can get snappy, you start arguing with the children, with your partner, all sorts of things go on when you're feeling under stress. And it could be that £50 a week would just remove all of that, and your family life would change enormously just for something quite small like that. So having that emotional goal, and as I said, I've mentioned family there, and often that's a really strong reason, because we all love our family, and that's often a really strong reason why you will do things to overcome those obstacles, because you've got in mind this goal that will help you have a much happier family life. I'll give you a little example here. If I put a plank of wood on the ground and said, if you can just walk along that plank of wood and get to the end without falling off, I'll give you £50. You'd probably say, oh, yeah, I could do that, no problem at all. So you're going to get on the plank of wood, wobble a bit, but walk to the end, no problem at all. If I then took that same plank of wood to the top of a huge skyscraper and put it right on the edge of one skyscraper, so it just reached to another skyscraper next to it, so you're whatever it is, 1,000 feet up in the air, and said, okay, here's that 50 quid again, just walk across that plank of wood again. You might well say, I don't think so, there is absolutely no way I'm going to walk across that plank of wood 1,000 feet up in the air just for 50 quid, thank you very much. There's an obstacle all of a sudden. There's that fear, that worry about, well, what if the wind blows? What if I fall off? All sorts of things, fear comes into your mind. But what if your 6-year-old daughter was in the other building on the top floor at the other side of the plank, and the building was engulfed in flames, and she was crying and calling for you, and the only way you could get her back to safety was by going across that plank, picking her up and bringing her back again? You would find a way. You might kind of say, right, hold that end of the plank, get down on your hands and knees, I'm not going to look down, I'll look straight across, walk over on your hands and knees. You would get there. You wouldn't care about the £50. You would do it because it was your daughter, because you had a strong reason. So suddenly that obstacle of being up quite high became irrelevant because you had a strong enough reason for doing it. And the same is true with Kleeneze. If you've got a strong enough reason, you will move heaven and earth to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. As I said there, that strong reason will improve your attitude. It will get you to do it even if you don't feel like doing it. So what other things will help? Well, I find setting goals, as I said, a really useful exercise. And I mentioned earlier, it's a good idea to spend a bit of time thinking about what goals are really important to you. Not just an extra 50 quid a week, but as I say, something that you can kind of relate to your family perhaps. And a good way to start is just to ask yourself a question. What would you change in your life? So it could just be that you just wish you weren't worried about the postman dropping those letters through the letterbox, or you just love to be able to go for a pizza with the kids once every couple of weeks, go and see a movie, just have that fantastic family time together because at the moment you can't, or whatever it might be. So just think of whatever your reason might be for joining Kleeneze, think about what you would change in your life, and that's a good place to start. And I always think it's a good idea to think of goals in three different ways. So you might typically start off by thinking of short-term goals. When you join Kleeneze, something that's achievable in say, 1 to 3 months. So, for example, you might want to buy a new computer. And maybe the one you've got now is, maybe you don't have one, you're trying to do everything on your smartphone. You'd love to be able to have a computer because it would just make your life a lot easier. You could help the kids with their homework. You could do your online shopping so you wouldn't have to go to do the shopping yourself all the time, whatever it might be. Or maybe it's just something like, it's the kid's birthday coming up in 3 months' time. You'd love to be able to treat them to a day out at Alton Towers, whatever your goal might be. And obviously, these are just examples. It needs to be something that's really important to you. So whatever it is, can get that picture in your mind so you've got an idea of what you're going for. Other examples, so in the medium term, so once you've got that kind of in your mind, you've got a short-term goal, which is great. I'm going to expand on that in a moment. Medium-term goals, so these are goals that maybe this is something that you'd like to achieve in 6 to 12 months. So maybe you'd love to be able to pay off that credit card debt, because at the moment, maybe for every £100 you're bringing into the house, £30 of that is having to go out to pay off your interest on your credit card or something. So just by being able to pay off what you owe, you'd give yourself a 30 quid a week pay rise, just like that. Or maybe you'd love to be able to take the family for a holiday to Spain for a week or something like that. So that might be a kind of a medium-term thing. You're looking for a bit more for that, £1,000, £2,000, £5,000 or something. That might cost you. And then longer-term goals. So this could be anything from kind of 1 to 5 years. Maybe this would be something like, if you're sick of renting, you wanted to be able to buy your own house, so you want to save up a deposit for a new house. Or maybe your 16-year-old Ford Escort is past its best, and you'd love to be able to buy yourself a brand new car. And maybe that's a longer-term goal for you. So again, that's something that's visual is kind of really, really important to help you aim for that. So once you've got some ideas in your mind of what your goals might be, how do we go about achieving it? Because whether your goal is a new laptop or a family holiday or a brand new Mercedes, it's all very well having that picture, but what do you actually need to do to achieve that goal? And the way I always look at it is by thinking about not so much how do I achieve the goal, it's what actions do I need to take to produce the results that would allow me to buy the car, pay for the holiday, buy the new laptop. So let's think about this. If our short-term results, the goal that we wanted was to be able to buy a new laptop, and maybe what we've decided we need to do I don't know how much your new laptop would be. Let's say we're talking about quite a nice laptop, £500, something like that. If you put out 200 catalogues twice a week, it wouldn't take you long, a couple of months or whatever, you'd earn that £500, and that would be enough to pay your new laptop. So just putting those 200 catalogues out twice a week, that you're going to get yourself a pretty good chance to hit that goal. If you want to do it more on the team building side, maybe you work out with your sponsor that if you deliver 500 leaflets twice a week, you're going to find enough team members that will boost your bonus and give you that, the £500 that would result in the laptop. So rather than focusing on the laptop, what you can focus on are your actions. You're now in control of this. You're in control of whether you put your catalogues out twice a week, whether you put those leaflets out twice a week. And if you're in control of it and you've got a good attitude, you can make sure it happens. Exactly the same with the other goals. The family holiday, maybe you need to do a bit more. Maybe you need to blanket drop enough so that you've got a customer base of 500 customers, because you know if you're delivering to 500 customers once a month, you know you're going to get whatever that might be, £2,500 worth of orders, and you're going to earn enough from those customers just with your own retail to pay for that family holiday. Or if you're wanting to do it on the team building side, maybe you set yourself a goal of talking to 10 people a day about the business, because if you talk to enough people, you're going to get some people in your team, and that the bonuses you get from your team's orders will be enough to pay you for the holiday. So again, you can now start to focus on those actions. Can I keep delivering my catalogues until I've got a customer base of 500 customers? And the answer is yes, anybody can do it. Anybody can keep delivering catalogues. There's nothing stopping you. Can I talk to somebody about the business? Yes, you can. Can I talk to 10 people? If you set your mind to it, yes, you can. So again, you're in control now. Again, the last one maybe is again longer term, so it's going to require actions over a longer period of time, and maybe those actions are relating to how many leads can I generate a week. So if I'm doing some leafleting, if I'm doing some advertising, if I join an ad pool and so on, and if I actually want to become a team leader, maybe you can start running your own team sizzles or your own team webinars. Again, these are all things that you can control that will help you towards your goal. And by having that image of you and the wife and the children driving along in your brand new car to your holiday villa in Cornwall or wherever it is, that image will provide you with a strong reason to keep doing those actions, even on those days when you don't feel like doing it. So I think the idea there that I'm trying to get across here is starting off with small actions. So putting your catalogues out once or twice a week, keep doing that, build it up, and as you get results and you start to achieve goals, you can increase those, and the successes that you're getting will help you to set yourself more challenging goals and lead to bigger results. As I said there, each week you're now getting a small success, because if your goal is to put out 400 catalogues, you can do that, and at the end of the week you give yourself a little chart or whatever that helps you, and you tick off, yes, that's my 400 catalogues out. You're giving yourself a little tick, that's that little success, so you get motivated. So every couple of months, you've bought that new laptop, that's so satisfying. You go down, you buy the new laptop, you take it home, everyone's really pleased. Yes, you've proven to yourself that it works, and then you can think, right, I've achieved my first goal, what's my next goal now? And every couple of months, maybe you're hitting a bigger target. You've got some team members in. You're starting to hit your 13%, 15%, 18% bonuses and so on. So you get even more motivated. And once a year, maybe you achieve some great big goal. Maybe you've qualified for Jamaica, or you've been working towards India and you qualify for India. And those conferences are fantastic, and that's really serious motivation. So as you can see, starting off small, little successes keep you motivated, and the more motivated you are, the more successes you get, and the more motivated you become again. And all of this is constantly improving that attitude. Now, as you can expect, that all sounds fantastic. I always sort of said, start off, do a few little things, put your catalogues out, just carry on doing that, do more and more and more and more and more, and everything will be hunky-dory. But of course, there will be some obstacles. And I said that any path without obstacles is probably not leading anywhere worthwhile. And typically what happens is you get excited about Kleeneze. You join Kleeneze, you've spoken to your upline, they're doing quite well, you sort of see yourself in their shoes, you become quite ambitious. So you start off thinking, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful at this, I'm really keen. And then sometimes you get a bit of frustration, or you get some negative people, the cousin sort of says, oh, you're not doing that Kleeneze thing, are you? I did that 6 years ago, it was a load of rubbish, it never worked. And you find out that they just didn't bother to put their catalogues out, and that's why it didn't work. Or you speak to a few people about the business and they say, oh no, I'm not interested, thank you. So you get a little bit frustrated, and you start to think, maybe it's not for me. Maybe you get a bit of self-doubt, maybe this isn't the right thing for me. And that can kind of spiral down into what we call the pits. And this can just be a normal phase which happens to everyone. And it could be a couple of days in, you do your first pickup and you don't get as many orders as you were hoping for, or a couple of months down the line when your first team member joins and then quits a week later, or it could be 2 or 3 years later when you're starting to build up a good team, and then 2 or 3 of them all leave at the same time, and you kind of feel like you haven't learned very much. So you start to stay away from meetings. You start to find excuses as to why you can't put your catalogues out, why you can't get to that meeting. You start to find faults with your sponsor or the business or the products or the system. But having that good attitude because of the successes that you've had then leads you to what we call the fight stage. And that's basically just you realize that you're going through a perfectly normal part of your personal development that everybody goes through. And you know that the best thing to do is never give up, because success is just around the corner, and you start to focus on your goals again, not the obstacles. And then you go back to attending those events, communicating with your team, communicating with your upline, and that really gets you through those kind of difficult times. Okay, we're kind of coming towards the end now. I hope that all kind of made sense. Just want to quickly check that you haven't all fallen asleep or been snowed out. Just as a quick idea, either those of you who have just started, or if you've been in the business for longer than a few months, can you tell us either what your short-term goals are now, or can you remember what your short-term goals were when you first started? Anybody like to share that with us? Guy, some new flooring. Excellent. Neil and Rose paying the bills. That's good. That's very common, that. Wendy, a mortgage gap. Wow, that's a brilliant one. That I imagine that something like that, if you're struggling to pay the rent, struggling to pay the mortgage, that's quite a strong reason why. Leslie, just wanting to build a fence. That's brilliant. Extra £100, Thomas. Fantastic. So Dave and Zoe hitting 10%. Now that's interesting. I can't imagine that on the day that you saw the Kleeneze advert, you said, "Oh, brilliant, let's hit 10%." Because I'm guessing at the time you didn't know what that meant. Did you have an idea of what you would do with the money that you earned from that 10%? Yeah, Sue Marshall, just replacing lost income. Fantastic. A lot of people kind of join it when they realise they've lost a job, or they're worried about a job, or whatever, that they've got something else. So I mean, that's great. That I think there's really a lot of great ideas there, and what it actually shows is there are so many different reasons why people join. So having a short-term goal so that you can then start to aim towards that, and paying off that credit card or whatever it might be, is really sort of a great way to kind of motivate you at the beginning. Anybody got any? I mean, there's a few things here, like financial independence. There might be medium to longer term goals. It's unusual if you become financially independent within your first couple of months, but anybody else got any kind of longer term goals beyond paying a few bills off? Who wants that villa in Spain, or to buy the new house, or the... Oh, yep, Wendy looking to qualify for India. Very good. That'd be lovely. That's okay, Wendy. I remember reading your 7 things we didn't know about you, which we do now. Ah, Dave, brilliant. To be able to say goodbye to your boss, that's really exciting. That's a lot of people really enjoy doing that. Excellent. Okay, so hopefully it's starting to make you think about your goals and what you want out of the business, because you do have to be careful sometimes. You don't just find yourself plodding along, just doing the stuff and treating it like a job, if you like, that's earning a little bit. It's really beneficial if you've got goals that you're aiming for to stretch yourself and to be excited about. So my question to you is, are you taking those actions that will inevitably lead to that result? Because you probably know, if you've been in the business for more than a month, you probably know what you need to do to achieve your goals. You know that you need to get your catalogues out. You know that you need to generate some leads. So as long as you're happy that you're doing that, and you know I'm asking you the question, but really you're the only person who can answer it to yourself, then that's great. Okay, wrapping this up now. That was number 7, which is goals and attitude. Next week, pretty sure we've got one on next week. I try to do these every Wednesday night. Occasionally I miss one, in which case it could be a couple of weeks, but I'm pretty sure there's one next week as well. I'm talking a bit more about personal development, so just kind of finishing off this whole aspect of the personal development side. And finally, just so that you're aware, anybody who wants to visit this recording again or view any of the others, they're all held on YouTube. So bear with me a moment. I'm just going to stop the recording for